I've always been intuitive as a child. I was always aware of what people were thinking and feeling. And it's very intense and overwhelming as a child when you're kind of aware of all these things. And when I got older, in my late 20s, actually, I bought a bunch of tarot decks and I fell in love with the tarot. I bought about 5 decks and a bunch of books and I studied it. And I decided to start doing readings for people. Wasn't an intention of mine to become a reader or to become a psychic. I call myself the reluctant psychic because it was never an intention. I had a clothing line at the time. I'd also been trained in herbal medicine, so I'm an herbalist. So I had these other trainings and ambitions. And I started doing readings for people, and it just kind of kept building. And then before I knew it, I was making my living doing readings. And I've continued to do it. I always do other projects. I'm also a musician as well as a designer. And I continue to do readings over the years because it was just like a natural thing. I was able to do it. People love talking to me and I love doing it. So that's how it really happened.
Okay. So you talked a little bit about what type of work you do, but give us the general. Are you a medium, clairvoyant? What are you?
Well, I'm a medium and a clairvoyant and a psychic, and I read the tarot cards. So
Right.
the medium work just kind of started to happen to me. I would have experiences like the first time it happened to me was when an aunt of mine passed away, and I went home for the holidays, and she had recently passed away. And I'm sitting in my room Christmas Eve, and she's like, I can hear her, and she's in my head, and she's talking to me. I was completely startled. I didn't know what was going on, honestly, and but it was a very profound experience because it was very real. Like this, she was giving me some information to tell one of my cousins, and so then it just sort of happens. Like I'll just be minding my own business, and somebody will start popping in and start talking to me, especially during readings, of course. When I do readings, often somebody from the other side brings the person to me because they're trying to communicate something to them specifically.
Okay, great. So what can a client, first-time client who wants a reading from you expect?
Well, what I'm really best at, I consider myself a bit of a cosmic chiropractor. Somebody comes to me with their life and they're kind of like, now what? Or what's going on in my life? And I will be able to look at it from a overview, like a view of a hawk or something. And the people that brought them in from the other side, though not always, will come in and start talking to me. Often I'm giving messages for people having to do with their life, where they're going to live, what they're doing with their job, what their oldest son is doing. It sort of depends on the person, what's going on, but it gets very specific. I get very specific information regarding somebody's life and what they need to do to kind of shift things in a better direction. To me, it's not about being predictive, although I can predict. It's more about, okay, what's going on in your life and how can you improve your life and make it better and make the direction better.
Okay, great. So if you were asked what sets you apart from other, we're going to use the word psychic, what would you say?
Well, I do it from a very genuine place. I do it from a very loving place. I've deeply appreciate having this gift. I don't have any attachment to having this gift. So when I do the work, I show up with true sincerity with my heart, and I do my best work for the person. I really want them to have a positive experience, and I want them to have some positive and some strong answers to questions in their life. And
Okay.
I combine methods. I'm clairvoyant, I'll hear things, the medium work. I sometimes work with the tarot cards. I don't always work with the tarot cards, but often I do. They kind of lay out a nice picture for me to give to somebody.
Okay, great. Here's two more questions. Are there any common misconceptions about the work we do that you'd like to clear up?
Misconceptions. Well, one that it comes from a bad place. It comes from spirit and it comes from, whoever's sitting in front of me, it comes from their spirit and their ancestral lineage. So it comes from a very pure place. It's really, I believe that the true psychic is really a guide for people to help navigate life because life is very complicated. So that's one of them.
Okay, great. So last question.
Yes.
What advice or what would you tell a hiring party about you that makes you stand out as far as working in TV, podcasts? What is your superpower as a psychic?
Well, my superpower is the genuineness, the true ability to do what I'm doing. And when I'm working with people, we're having I'm working on having a really, really positive experience for that person. And not having done television specifically, that would be my goal though, is to, okay, we have some people here. So what does everybody need to know? What do they need to know to better their lives? That's really what I'm about.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for your time.